Indiana Fever are heading to the semifinals.
See, driving to the foul line and the paint, lays it in. Sims crossover left to right, gets into the paint, layup, good.
Inside, Boston.
6 players injured, half a roster missing, a season that looked like it was already over. And yet, the Indiana Fever just did something nobody thought was possible. They didn't just win a playoff game. They shocked the entire league. On one side of the floor stood Brittney Griner, once the most feared center in playoff basketball, sitting on the Phoenix bench, overwhelmed as her team's season slipped away. On the other side, Aaliyah Boston commanded the paint for Indiana, delivering dagger after dagger and proving that the future of the league had arrived. This wasn't just another playoff upset. It was a passing of the torch, from a veteran legend to a rising star in a game that no one will forget.
And Mitchell's been quiet for a while. Not anymore. Jordan Canada with another assist. A big bounce-back night for her. Mitchell dribbles behind the line to take the three. Howard with the one-handed rebound and putback.
When the Indiana Fever walked into the playoffs, they weren't just underdogs. They were practically written off before the first tip-off. 6 players were sidelined, leaving the rotation shredded down to its bare bones. Sophie Cunningham, out. Sydney Colson, out. Chloe Beebe, out. Ari McDonald, out. Darius Dantas, out. And of course, their brightest star wasn't even suited up. It wasn't just bad luck. It was unprecedented. Nearly half of Stephanie White's regular rotation was gone, leaving her scrambling with a patchwork lineup. Analysts didn't just predict failure, they guaranteed it. Some said the Fever wouldn't even survive the first round. Others argued the opposing team's depth would simply wear them down. For Indiana fans, the story felt all too familiar. A decade of disappointment, early exits, and constant rebuilding had made next year the eternal promise. Most assumed this season would end the same way, quietly, with excuses about injuries and talk about better days ahead. But something strange happened. The players who were left, the overlooked, the doubted, the so-called role players, didn't roll over. They leaned into the pressure. They carried the weight of every missing teammate. And when the moment came, they refused to crumble. Their first real chance to prove it came in Atlanta. An elimination Game 3 that nobody believed they could win.
To Jones. Throws it up.
No good! Game over! And the Fever are moving on!
Game 3 in Atlanta wasn't supposed to be a showdown. It was supposed to be a send-off. The Dream had the healthier roster, the home court, and every statistical advantage you could ask for. Indiana, meanwhile, looked like a team walking into an ambush. But from the opening minutes, something felt different. Inside Gateway Center Arena, the crowd was split, but the noise wasn't what anyone expected. Fever fans had traveled deep into enemy territory, and by the second half, you could hear them louder than the home supporters. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every hustle play. It was like Indiana had turned an elimination game on the road into a home court advantage. And it wasn't just the players on the floor. The injured stars, Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Chloe Beebe, they never stopped moving. Standing in huddles, shouting from the sidelines, acting as extra coaches and cheerleaders. Even without a uniform, they became the team's 6th man, fueling the fire. Then came the breaking point. Atlanta's depth was supposed to overwhelm Indiana, but instead, it was the Fever who looked fresher, hungrier, and sharper. Every possession was played like it was the last. By the time the final whistle sounded, it wasn't Atlanta celebrating. It was Indiana. The team that wasn't even supposed to be standing, storming into the semifinals. For the first time in nearly a decade, the Fever weren't just surviving. They were making history. With Atlanta stunned and eliminated, the Fever weren't done yet.
I try to give myself grace. Everybody says give yourself grace. It's so hard for me to do that. At the end of the day, it's my fault, and I let everybody down.
For years, Brittney Griner was the name every opponent circled on the scouting report. A dominant force in the paint, a shot-blocking machine. The kind of player who could single-handedly swing a playoff series. Whenever the postseason arrived, Griner was the one teams dreaded. But not this time. In Game 3, Griner wasn't the unstoppable anchor. She was the liability. Missed rotations, flat-footed defense, and frustration written all over her face. Instead of dictating the matchup, she was benched during the most crucial moments of an elimination game. For a player of her stature, that wasn't just surprising, it was shocking. And standing across from her, Aaliyah Boston, calm, composed, and fearless.
For Atlanta has not been good. 40%. Maybe a little higher than that, 45.
Indiana electing not to call a timeout. Boston almost gave it away. Into Boston for the lead. She hits it. Indiana goes up.
Boston gets it. Mitchell is denied, but then Jordan Canada falls. Bree Jones almost gets it, but that's a second defender that's gone down, and Bree Jones.
Boston didn't just match Griner. She outclassed her. 14 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. But more important than the numbers was the timing. In the dying seconds, with the game in the balance, Boston sealed the go-ahead layup. 7 seconds left, the crowd on edge, and she delivered. That single play wasn't just a basket. It was a statement. Defensively, Boston was just as ruthless. She didn't chase blocks or gamble for highlight plays. Instead, she forced Griner off her favorite spots, angled her body to cut off drives, and stayed disciplined on every contest. Shots that once came easy for Griner rattled out. Her frustration grew with every possession. It wasn't just one bad game. It felt like a shift, a moment where the torch that once belonged to Griner was now in Boston's hands. Fans watching couldn't ignore it. Was this the end of Griner's reign as the league's most dominant center?